Ladies and gentlemen, it appears that Solon, the CEO of Kuro Games, has had an exclusive conversation with the Korean Wuthering Waves community, and he did reveal quite a significant amount about what lies ahead for the future of this game. And we just got to keep in mind that we're coming on the top of a really fantastic marketing campaign by the company for Wuthering Waves 2.0 and its PS5 release. There's a lot of stuff to be excited for, a lot of stuff to be excited about. And today we're going to be diving into what actually happened in this interview and what kinds of questions, what kind of plans he has, as the CEO for the future of this game. So with that, this entire first paragraph over here, it's been translated by Automatic Horse 3355. Obviously, this is just like a randomly generated Reddit username. I don't think they're looking for any street cred. They're just providing the information here. So with that, this is just giving context about the game, European-inspired region, distinct from Wong Long, blah, blah, blah. We all saw the trailer. We all know what 2.0 is going to be about. So with that, we've got Solon over here with all of the different skins that they're refusing to add to the game. Please just add these skins already. I know the Jinsei one is nice, but this one looks pretty cool too. We got Chang Li, Yohu, and Shorekeeper as well. Just add them to the game, bro. And he's posing with them, giving the thumbs up, and basically teasing us even more than he already has in the past. So with that, first question over here for Solon was, Wuwa just reached its half-year anniversary since launch. How do you feel? He's basically saying that it's been a journey of uncertainty from the very launch of the game, right? Very rocky launch, and then confidence. As the months went by, people saw the value of the game, the value of the mechanics, really saw the fulfillment that it was getting, and they realized that all of that love that the player base was having, they decided that that was something that they should pay back, and further motivated them and their team to continue moving forward with great content for the game. I couldn't imagine another developer in the gacha space reacting like this, right? They'd probably be busy counting their dollar bills, thinking about what other types of predatory quality of life they could add to their newest region, while also crying about how they're listening to players. I can't name the exact devs or the exact game, but you guys might be able to think of something that comes to mind. And so when he does some reflection on the past, he talks about how, he wasn't sure if the work was going to be recognized. But as that community, as the game's popularity kept growing, they realized that it actually was. And that any of their future creations, all that work that they were putting in, their beautiful animations, their beautiful skins, that effort would be acknowledged. And ladies and gentlemen, this is what positive reinforcement is. This is why it's okay to say that the devs are doing a good job. This is why maybe it isn't always the best course of action to say things like, oh, but it's good, but it could be better. It's not that good. It could be better. It could always be better. Just shut up and give people recognition when it's due, because literally the CEO of the company is talking about the impact that the positive recognition and positive reception had on the motivation of their team to keep delivering quality content. The CEO himself is telling you the impact that the positive reinforcement has. And so yes, Wuwa players, the ones that are always saying it could be better, this should be evidence that you should just shut up and enjoy when the devs do a good job, because they'll continue doing it. It's really that simple, folks. It's really literally that simple. So next up, the transition from version 1.0 to 2.0 feels quick. Was this a deliberate decision? So basically, he's saying that in the world of Wuthering Waves, it has a lot of regions that are beyond just like, the really obviously Chinese-inspired Huang Long. After introducing Jinzhou, they immediately presented Renashita to announce, to showcase aspects that they really hadn't revealed, right? That's why it's lighter. It has a lighter theme, more European, more traditional inspired architecture, not as futuristic and not as dark as Jinzhou. And guys, that means that they're looking to provide a bit more of a well-rounded experience overall, show people other sides of the world. And so if you're somebody that wanted more darkness, more apocalypse, blah, 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 I do think you're going to get more of it later, but maybe not now, because they want to provide a bit more of a well-rounded experience and, see here, demonstrate their evolution in storytelling and the world building. So with that long-lasting love for their players, to get the long-lasting love from the players, right, to continually get that recognition and to continually receive those laurels, they have to prove themselves. And Renasita, right, all of the new stuff, all of the new exploration, the flight, all of that, the stuff that they're providing in this region was a part of that effort. And so while they're cautious, while they're skeptical sometimes of the progress and how fast that they're moving, they're going to deliver significantly new content roughly every half year. And so by the description of significant new content, I'm not sure if that means a version update. Who knows? That could mean that they're going to go from 2.0 to 3.0 in half of a year, right? And have 2 version updates per year. However, this doesn't confirm that. And so I do believe that there has been another post basically saying that there's going to be a new version update every 6 months. I don't know if that's actually the case from the translation that we're seeing here, and this one seems a little bit more in-depth. Next up, gun-focused characters have felt somewhat underwhelming, but Carlotta in 2.0 seems to address this. Can we expect more engaging gun characters in the future, and will the weak parry performance of 4-star gun characters be improved? So, Solon's basically just saying, you know what, thanks guys for recognizing Carlotta, and they're also thinking of some other ways to improve gun characters in the future. This is pretty vague. This might mean that it's going to come in the form of like leaps or upgrades that come to the existing cast of characters that players can like grind for that improve their kits as a whole. Not entirely sure what this means. He's being vague on purpose. It might be because it's not really a high priority for them right now, but they'll consider it in the future because it's already been raised. So, first and foremost, I just want to say that this question is awesome, and clearly these interviewers really care deeply about the game and understand what the dynamics of the game currently are. Because this is a real issue that like you don't really experience or you don't really talk about or even consider asking unless you actually play the game. So W interviewers, W question makers. This is like a deeply, you know, sort of like fundamental mechanic of the game that like you could easily gloss over. Next up, alongside 2.0, the PS5 version is also launching. What's the most challenging part? It could have been released earlier, right? That's what a lot of people think. And so with that, the main point is optimization. This is the first game that Kuro ever released on PlayStation, so there was some unknowns when it came to the optimization. And so, since we clearly know from 1.0's release, optimization is really important to the gaming experience, and people will complain a lot if it's not there. They put a lot of attention on it. So, what this means is it's going to be a little disappointing if it doesn't run very well on the PS5, but we can imagine that they spent a lot of delays, or, you know, the project wasn't released on PS5 until now because they were spending a lot of time on that optimization piece. So I'm excited to see how it actually does in the long run. Next up, they're talking about echoes, previously seen as enemies, are now part of the daily life. Can you clarify what the echoes are? Will they appear similarly in other regions? W interviewer, actually. This interview is actually insane. They're asking like these deep lore questions that a lot of other players who actually play the game and have been engaged with the game are wondering as well. Solon says that echoes have been complex, both in world building and across their integration and content. They've explored a lot of possibilities, and Renashita, right? The implementation there is a result of research. And players, they can expect more and more of application like this in future content. So echoes are going to be very versatile, very sort of like free form, and they're going to be able to do a lot of things. And who knows, they might have a unique case in a unique purpose in every single region moving forward. Next up, story and direction seems to be improving with each update. Characters like Shang Li, Shorekeeper, and Camellia left a strong impression. I wonder why. Will Renashita exceed those expectations? Are there plans to refine the early game story? There's a lot of motivation from the developers when there's positive reception for each update, but their core storytelling approach isn't really going to change. They design characters and themes that align with the unique identity of each region that the rover visits. And by letting people continually discover new mechanics and then connect those elements to the story and the character, they want to have a lot of emotional engagement with the story. I think it's fair to say that even if you think the story in Wuthering Waves wasn't that great overall as like an overarching theme, right? It is unfair to say that there's no emotional investment involved. Because guys, if you felt no emotion during Shorekeeper's story, and you felt no emotion during Camellia's story, you might have something going on with you. If you felt no emotion during Encore's story, that might just be a you problem, okay? And one thing people don't want to hear is that they have a problem. And so let me just say that across those three quests, those three story quests / main quests, if you felt no emotion at all, don't blame the devs, okay? Don't blame the devs. I think it's on you. Next up, they're also making sure that the approach in Renashita, it is going to be consistent. It's going to be, you know, obviously a lot more fun-filled, a lot more thematic with the whole carnival, with a lot of secrets distinct from Jinzhou, and they want to have deeper player connection to the actual characters themselves. And I think it's fair to say there is a lot of love, there's a lot of enjoyment for a lot of the limited characters on the roster. And they couldn't do that without, again, good storytelling and at least some elements of a good story across version 1.0. Next up, asking about what key aspects of 2.0 and Renashita would Solon like to see players enjoy the most. He giggled in here because there are so many. He says if he had to choose, he'd say he want to focus on how players appreciate how Wuwa is continually evolving, always showing endless possibilities. Things like their wacky outro skills, wacky echoes, crazy new exploration methods, blah blah blah. Everything he's saying here tracks because they're adding so many innovative features, so many different things with every single update. Things like quality of life that improve the overall experience, and then things that are just like completely innovative as a whole, like the co-op holograms. There is always something new every single update. Sometimes all of it isn't great, like Tactical Simulacra, but they fixed it really fast. And they're always looking for ways to improve. They're always taking in feedback, and that is one of the things, ladies and gentlemen, that they value the most. And so ensuring we as a community are providing good feedback is one of the best ways to help out these devs. And so just saying shit, right? Like, the Tower of Diversity is boring and that I don't like it and that I feel no enjoyment out of the game mode, but then not even making the attempt to play it in that process. That might not be the best feedback ever, right? And if you played it, you 30 out of 30'd it, right? But you can clearly point out where the problems are with the game mode like that. Perfectly fine, right? That's maybe something that we can work on. Next up, we got, it might be a bit early to ask, but in the beginning, Wuthering Waves mentioned the 7 regions of Huanglong, including Jinzhou. And now that you move to Renashita, a completely different setting, what can we expect next in the world of Wuthering Waves? Nice question. So, as he mentioned, Huanglong alone has more regions beyond Jinzhou, right? I believe it's 1 out of the 6 or 1 out of the 7. There might be 6 more regions or it's 6 total regions. I forget the number right off the top of my head. And Renashita itself has more cities other than Raguna, which is the main one that we're going to be visiting. And so the idea here might be that, hey, we actually do have a version update every 6 months, and they're just going to be cycling through more and more cities. That to me sounds like a pretty big development endeavor, but that just might be how confident the Kuro devs are in creating content. And I'm going to be honest, it would just put a further highlight on how little certain devs are doing when it comes to the development of their game. If Wuwa's pushing out like a new city, new region every 6 months, and it's like high quality, it's massive, it's all of these things, then you're just going to reflect back on other developers, right, in the space that have been pushing out way less content in the same amount of time. This to me just sounds like a big shift in Gacha. This to me sounds like a developer raising the standard, raising people's expectations, and ensuring, right, that even with less budget, even with less money, even with less revenue, you're still able to do great things. And all you're going to think about is how one developer in the space who's making quite possibly like thousands of % more in revenue aren't even contributing nearly half the pace of the updates. That's going to be a tough pill to swallow. And the thing is, unless some of these developers really pick up the pace and really hit it out of the park in version 6.0, it's just gonna look worse and worse and worse as time goes on, because version 2.0 for Wuthering Waves, ladies and gentlemen, is quite possibly the biggest version update in Gacha history. And when a company of that size, of Kuro's size, who you know is making far less money, is doing that, I'd find solace in shit-talking Wuthering Waves 2 if I was a fan of those other games. Because my oh my, the game that I support would just look pathetic in comparison. And that's honestly how it feels like right now. So right, moving forward, one of their biggest challenges is just ensuring how they're going to be able to really present the story, present that transition from region to region and city to city effectively, because they're promising quite a bit over here by just talking about all of the different cities in the individual regions themselves. So with that, the other consideration is making sure that they meet player expectations. They have to satisfy their audience, and they know that people have loved what they've gotten so far, and I'm sure they've been working very hard. So it's about how can we replicate this level of quality while also keeping the experience diverse. And also for players to, you know, after they've already experienced what's already in the game, how are they creating something new? Obviously, one developer in this space, in their pursuit to create something new, they just made everything locked behind a paywall. So hopefully we don't go in that direction. Next up, never settling. Kuro Games refines its unique identity. So Wuwa has achieved significant global success. Did we anticipate this level of achievement? And how much has the company grown since? So, a lot of overwhelming love and interest received globally. Global mentioned, global W, global mentioned. And they've exceeded the expectations they had for this game. Ladies and gentlemen, Wuwa has done better than Kuro expected. And so they now have a strong sense of duty to create even better content to meet the expectations of players worldwide. And everyone's just like, oh, these devs are just in it for the bag. They're gonna let their foot off the gas pedal. Oh, yeah, totally. That's totally gonna happen when the CEO themselves is promising this much. You do realize when the CEO themselves is promising this much, how bad it would look when they renegotiate on that promise and they backtrack. Oh, wait, we already know what that looks like because it already happened for Genshin Impact. Next, in the 6 months since launch, our team has grown significantly in many areas, including development pipelines, talent cultivation, and technical capabilities. They've basically grown their team a shit ton, right? And they've been able to acquire more and more talent, and they're probably going to be able to push out higher quality updates at a faster pace with less, roadblocks. They've achieved remarkable progress compared to the pre-launch state and remain committed to continual growth. They're backing it up, right? They're saying this is the vision that we're expected to have, and these are the steps that we're taking to ensure that it happens. This should give you all, every single Wuthering Waves player should have a massive amount of confidence hearing these words. This is basically somebody promising the world, but then also showing that they have the ability to promise the world at the same time. Though probably to not that high of a degree. This is a fucking gacha game. Next up, Wuwa has been especially successful in South Korea overall. What do you think contributed to this success? And also, have you engaged with the Korean player base through events like G-Star last year and other offline gatherings? Do you have any plans to meet with Korean players again? So basically, just a lot of support from the KR region. You can tell from the questions that the interviewer is asking, who's obviously KR, that they love the game too. It is no lie that Koreans, South Koreans particularly, are gamers. They like intense games. They like highly mechanical, challenging stuff. And Wuwa, to them, fulfills a lot of the itches that they have as a region. There's a reason why they like playing StarCraft 2 a lot, even though not a lot of other people do because of how mechanically difficult it is. While we received incredible support globally, we're particularly aware of our success in South Korea. That's why Solon is talking to Koreans right now. It's surprising and deeply gratifying to see how much love we've garnered here. Feels like the vision and the effort is acknowledged, and that is moving. And although they can still improve, they want to be able to repay that love through the work that they're doing. And so yes, Solon recognizes that there is room for improvement. He does recognize that things could be better. But the thing is, that is their recognition. That's their decision to make, to recognize that. And the fact that people are just continually giving them praise, are continually appreciating the work that they're doing, this is just inherently what the devs are feeling. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the devs already know that things could be better. Do we need to be people that are spamming it all the time as well? Next up, I often visit Korea for personal travel. What you doing? What you doing on those personal trips, buddy? But I've always hoped to have more direct opportunities to meet players. In fact, we'd love to meet players wherever they enjoy Wuthering Waves. But right now, they're focusing on creating content, especially with Renashita and development. And once the timing is right, they're going to have more opportunities to meet players face to face. They're too busy right now developing the game and creating as many feature updates as possible. So keep that in mind. Maybe that's why Solon's not doing as many fan meetups. He's busy coding or directing teams or something like that. Next up. Personally, I've been impressed by the high-quality action and unique art style from PGR to Wuwa. How has Kuro Games managed to maintain and refine this distinct identity? So yeah, one thing Kuro does overall for their skins, right, is they create a unique cinematic for every single skin that gets, or premium skin that gets released. And that's just more production quality that we see than any other title in the genre. And so the key here lies in the passion of our developers and their desire for creative expression. The devs love their game. The devs love their game and kind of just want to work on these things to make sure that what they're working on and what they're producing is as well received as possible. Some devs don't give a fuck how their product is perceived. They just push it out and they just make the money and then they get out. Don't need to name who though. It's driven by a relentless commitment to innovation and a willingness to embrace challenges. At Kuro, we constantly pursue new ideas and strive to bring them to life. Okay, that's just pretty self-explanatory. And I believe this might be the second to last question over here. Kuro Games has become a prominent name in the subculture gaming scene. Not sure what that means. That might be an interesting translation. What is the guiding philosophy and vision behind the studio's success? What kind of experience do you ultimately aim to offer players through Wuthering Waves? Maybe this is literally devs listened. Maybe this is why they're a prominent name, because they're one of the only developers in the gacha space that actually listen to their fucking players. I think that's what it's implying. That like, wow, we gave these devs feedback and they actually did something. So, this year, Kuro Games established a core vision as challenge is greatness, and so they view feedback as a challenge that they need to overcome, right? Because feedback only happens when people find something wrong with your game, and somebody finding something wrong with your game could be viewed as a challenge. And so they realize greatness through conquering those challenges, and that's what they want as kind of like the spirit of their games. And additionally, they're trying to make valuable and innovative gaming experiences. Concerto is one of the greatest mechanics we've ever seen, and they aren't confined by specific genres or conventional game formats. Yeah, the game is literally like a blend of like Devil May Cry. It has like teams and rotations from Genshin. It has all of these different things. It's got attributes as well. It's got a little bit of everything, and it's blended together into something amazing. And their goal is to deliver something truly unique and meaningful. Anybody saying Wuwa isn't unique and meaningful is simply boosted mentally. Right? They're a child that should have been left behind. They lack critical thinking skills if somebody is saying that Wuwa isn't unique and meaningful. In the combat, in the design, in how it actually plays. Because it is quite literally one of the most satisfying games in the genre, but the idea is that there are a lot of different mechanics that you have to absorb and learn to be able to fully realize that uniqueness. So with that, lastly, do you have a message for Korean players? Korean Rovers Fighting. Thank you so much for the continued support, and please keep looking forward to what's next in Wuthering Waves. I wish he had a word for global, or maybe the rest of the globe here, because we are fighting as well, and we are very, very, very excited for Wuthering Waves 2.0. But with that, I think this was an awesome overview. I thought that this was like just an awesome breakdown by the Korean interviewer. They had some great questions that showed a deep understanding of the game and some of the issues in the game. And really, like this specific question on gun-focused characters really highlighted that for me. Clearly, this region takes the game very seriously, and there's a reason why Solon came out here to Korea to actually answer all of these questions. So let me know what you all think of this interview. Let me know what you think of Solon's responses. I am personally feeling very confident for the future that's ahead for the game and all the future updates that are going to come after 2.0. And if we do see a region update every 6 months, this game is going to be progressing really fast, and other developers, other players of other games in the genre, they're going to be embarrassed very, very soon by how slow-paced their experiences are in comparison. Let me know what you all think. Peace out.